Hey, 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 everyone.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you here.
Welcome to JadaTV. I'm Dana Blickensturfer.
And I'm Jonathan Schimann. And today we're bringing in a very special guest. His name is John Selburg. He's an artist. He's a scholar. He is an art expert in all levels. So, I just want to make sure everybody understands that the purpose for what we're doing here is really to have a conversation among artists. It's really to open up there's no secret. We're all very much real. As we're going through a pandemic, we're finding ways to be creative, finding ways to reconnect. And JadaTV is specifically about that. So, John, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yay!
Of course.
Welcome, John, to the art conversation. But first, we like to do a little icebreaker to get us feeling fun, because we like to have fun here. So we have a couple of fun words written in a little cup, and the icebreaker is, so what we do is put a blindfold on. We have a piece of paper and a pad, and we draw whatever this magic cup tells us to draw. So ready?
Oh my. All right. So
I hope it's not one.
Does have a little paper and a little pencil or pen, something?
All right.
Okay.
It is a comma.
What do you mean? What is a comma?
It's a camel and a llama.
Oh, like the hybrid animal?
Yes, we're doing animals today.
Oh my!
So
who came up with this? Who comes up with these silly games?
We're just crazy. I don't know. It's a magic cup. Tells us.
Oh man. Okay, magic cup.
Okay, so we got 2 minutes. I'm still I'm looking for a blindfold, but I'll have to use my eyes here. But we got 2 minutes on the clock.
So we close our eyes.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Don't squint.
Okay, don't squint. And then we draw the comma, camel with a llama.
Yeah, you got 2 minutes.
Okay. We're starting right now?
Yep, started.
Okay.
Okay, camel. I gotta see it in my head.
Hold on. Camels, okay, they have a
humps.
Straight face.
They got the humps.
Yeah, but they are llama too.
I have to pick up my pen and I lost my placement.
Then good luck.
The leg. John's quiet over there. What do you think?
I know. He's
trying to imagine the camel llama.
Does the llama camel have one hump or two? That's the question. Then I'm gonna do pointy ears. Man, this is bad. I'm gonna see the clock. We still got a minute. All right.
I guess it's like a hairy camel, right?
I lost my place on the pad. This is not good, guys. I do not know where I am.
Just keep going.
Oh man. I'm gonna put a flower.
Oh,
we're just doing.
You can put background?
Sure, why not? I mean, we got 49 seconds.
Okay. So where do commas come from? Are they only at zoos, or there's a country where they are full of commas?
Who decided to combine animals? That's what I want to know. What world is this?
Evil. Probably not allowed.
All right, I'm just looking at the thing. 26 seconds. 25.
Okay, I'm done with mine.
I'm done with mine. 22.
I've drawn it like 6 times.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. You gotta put it close.
Okay, so show us. You guys first. I'm last. I don't.
You see mine?
Yeah, let me see. What is that?
It's like a camel llama. That's a baby.
Mine's pretty abstract.
You gotta hold it near your face.
Okay. Can we see in the big screen?
Yeah, hold on.
All right, so let me show mine. Let's see. What is this? So you have to hold it really close to your face. Do you
Okay.
see mine?
Oh my god, it's a mess.
I don't even recognize it. Is it a thing?
Look at all
That's
this.
pretty good.
Look at all the squiggles.
It's
That's pretty
okay?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the clouds. Very.
It's like a Sandra Boynton drawing.
So this is mine. So this is
Let's see
mine.
yours, John. Oh, look at Dana's.
What do you guys think?
Oh, that looks like a... Okay. Did you draw breasts? Where?
No.
This is weird.
Wait, you
Dana.
can't talk.
I'm
So
sorry.
we
Where's
look
your
at.
mind?
Wait, we gotta. There we go. So you got the hair with the. I don't know what that is. I thought there was two heads.
You opened your eyes. This is what.
No, I didn't.
And I like the antenna.
Look at that tail.
It's a very nice antenna.
Thanks. Okay, John's
No,
turn.
let's see yours.
Way less realistic than your guys's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we can't see it. You gotta put it near
You
your
have to
chest.
put it really close to your face. It might not even work if it's too big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Oh, it looks so good, John.
I drew JADA TV.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
He wins.
Good. So you win. You got the best one.
What a winner. Awesome.
Excellent. All right, guys. Anyways, John, tell us. We want to get, everybody should get to know each other. So, tell us your origin story. Going with the Thor kind of analogy. What is your origin story? The real origin story
Are you?
of the real life amazing artist John Selburg.
And is that your natural hair color?
Yes, that and the sun. I grew up in the Midwest, in love with nature, making art since I was really little. My dad was a decoy carver, so I've been sculpting since I could hold a pocket knife, and just keep doing it. Now I'm a professor and an artist. So.
Amazing.
Wow.
So you grew up around with someone carving already on wood.
Oh yeah. It's a lineage on my dad's side. My grandpa, that was his job.
That was his
to
profession.
do pattern making, and then my dad carved decoys. So that's one of the ways we made money. So carved decoys and sold them in the North Woods.
So when you say decoy,
they are sculptures of ducks. It originated through people putting them out on the water, but these are more realistic.
so for hunting, right? For hunting purposes?
These were not used for hunting. No, we did not hunt. They originated with hunting, but then they became collector's items.
So you must dream about ducks, all the ducks you've carved in your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, and I still draw them quite a bit.
So these are realistic, or they take artistic license and change them a bit, or they try to be as realistic as possible?
These were as realistic as possible, down to the texture of the feathers.
Oh,
And
wow.
the color of the paint, the size, everything was as close of a match as we could get.
So cool.
And how long did you do that for?
All growing up, so my first paycheck from a sale was when I was 5, and so my dad would have me do the feather inlays with a wood burner. Yeah, it was a loon. It was the first one, and we sold that one, and he gave me my percentage. So
That's so cool.
I used that money, and I bought a cat.
You're an artist since 5. I love it, and making money, like an artist making money.
Yeah.
At 5 years old.
And it's legacy. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
So cool.
That is fascinating.
So, with that in mind, so you have a legacy. Your grandfather already making these realistic ducks in wood, down to the texture of the feather. You sell your first one at the age of 5. Did you say you bought a cat with the money?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I went to the pet store and bought a cat.
So that is the origin story of John Selburg from the Midwest, doing that, very involved with nature. And we will show your art today, and I have had the pleasure of seeing your art in real life. It's just, I don't want to say breathtaking because it's such a cliche word, But well, our viewers are gonna see. Do you have anything to show, Dana? Because I want to know how your narratives of nature get into your artwork, John. Because it seems to be very much all over your art.
Yeah. Well, you ready? Are we ready to take a look?
Sure, if you are ready.
I'm excited. I'm anxious. I want to see what has formed since the ducks.
Yeah.
And what's the proper way to decoy?
A decoy, yeah.
I'll never forget that.
I always call them ducks.
So we've got this.
Yeah, that's actually a detail shot of a larger piece. So these are a bunch of frogs crawling up each other, kind of climbing up a mushroom tree. And it's for a larger piece. This was actually the first time I came to Florida. So this was made with a pen, pretty large scale. And I was out in the water. I'm like, wow, people actually get to live here by the ocean. It's amazing. Yeah. And this is maybe 4 years ago. And then I imagined seeing something out in the water, like a mer person. So this kind of originated from that. Once you see the full image, you can see the rest of it.
And what's the medium?
Pen.
Pen. Oh man.
Yeah.
The time that it took to make this.
Yeah, it took quite a while. This one altogether took about a year.
Wow.
I worked on multiple pieces while I did this, but this took about a year to figure out.
So with this piece, can you tell me the narrative? As I see there's like some really dark, if you keep your eye follows the dark frogs and the dark like patterns versus the light, and then I'm just curious about the narrative with that.
It kind of talks about an evolution too. If you flip to the full image, I think I saw that on your PowerPoint, then you'll be able to see them growing. So you start at the bottom with the large frog.
Is it that one?
Keep going. That's another detailed shot.
Oh wow!
I'm looking.
It's somewhere on there with the full one. Sorry, you guys are getting sneak peeks.
No. Oh dang.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a full one, but it continues to climb up, and a tree is growing toward the top, and there's a frog at the top that's sprouting wings.
Oh, wow.
And it's next to kind of a humanoid figure, which you saw a face of in the next thing with webbed hands and webbed feet. And it's just kind of getting the idea of origins. You know, where do we physically come from?
Yeah.
And I like the water idea quite a bit.
Yeah. So you we often have these conversations and we end up talking about origins, the spiritual, and all kinds of interesting things. Is it do you try to comment on like a collective consciousness, kind of as if we were, or connected to nature as one, or are you talking about from the genealogy, like of evolution as a species, that we came from water, because that is one of the theories? Is that what you like to talk about, or all of it together?
Or is it subconscious?
Yeah. Well, I think it's all the same. It's a spiritual thing. The origin of it and the universal consciousness of it, I think, is very real. I think tuning in with nature. Also, I like to play with just the physical of it. Where do we come from in terms of lineage far back enough? And we don't really know. So I mean, it's fun to play with. But I think that what you're bringing up is the universal consciousness and the connection with nature. For me and for my art and for my life, that's extremely important. That's my most peaceful place. So before I came to Florida 4 years ago, I always lived in areas where I could hike, sometimes up to 10 hours a day, and it wouldn't be strange for me to hike 3 hours every single day. I would just go out into the woods and get away from people, and I was obsessed with it. I would hike in the woods at night without a flashlight, and you could see pretty well. We didn't have alligators or anything like that like we do here.
Your eyes.
You probably had bears. You probably had
you had night vision.
Yeah.
You are special. You have special gifts. night vision.
Well, you don't have the leaves on the trees in the winter, so the moon illuminates everything pretty well.
Okay.
But then when I moved here, it was hard because, I mean, you see all this kind of lush beauty around here, but there's no hiking.
No.
And if you get out to the Everglades, you know, you really have to keep your wits about you. There's alligators and all those things. So we started running a house that had a yard, and the landlord just said, you know, you can do whatever you want with it. So I've just been growing everything I can grow. And
really,
I had a yard, and there was already about 10 bananas, and I've propagated that to about 35 bananas.
Oh,
and we've just been growing everything. We've turned it into a jungle. It looks more like Costa Rica than Florida now, and so it's a different way to commune with nature. We grow a lot of pollinators, so we get butterflies now, and it feels, you get the connection, and I need that for my art. If I'm not immersed in nature somehow, I feel disconnected from everything.
From yourself,
Wow.
it seems. Even you're definitely not a city boy.
No, not at all.
And
I mean, I love it here. I love the people, definitely in the city, but it is definitely not from the city. I'm definitely one who likes to escape into the wilderness when I can.
Yeah.
So oh wait, I have to ask something. So as the viewers are watching, they may be joining in now, but you were telling us you have a sculptor background. So tell us why you decided to use a pen specifically as your medium of choice to make such an intimate.
Yes.
It's such an
so for this one,
detailed work.
Yeah, similar to when you're carving, it's not extremely forgiving. When you're working with wood, once you make the cut's made. You know, you can't work back and forth like with clay. There's nothing really additive to the way that I work. With pen, it's completely additive, but you can't really erase it. You know, so once I put the idea down with the pen, then it's there. And with this one, I didn't really map it out. I just kind of let it flow. And with a lot of these pieces, I'll have a general idea, and then I'll let it kind of come to me as I work on it. Let it flow naturally, and I think that you can tap into different parts of your mind and your being and your emotions by letting it evolve instead of forcing an idea that you have at the beginning.
I didn't even. That's so unique. I'm glad I
so
asked
started
that
at
question.
the bottom with that frog and just worked its way up like a totem.
John, so you mentioned that you enjoy walking nature by yourself for several hours, even at night.
Even 10 hours hiking.
Yeah, hiking.
I can't. I've hiked 30 minutes.
You couldn't do that, Dana?
Oh, 10 hours? Where do you go to the bathroom?
Why not?
In the woods.
Boy. I know you're going to hate this, John, but I'm a glamper. That's right. It's called glamorous camping. I apologize. I love a good bathroom.
I think the next JADA art fair should be primitive camping.
No, I would fail after the first 5 minutes. Well, I watched some good. I think I can. You know, I got a compass. I think I can handle it. I'll follow John around. That's my strategy.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Now, my question is this, John. Have you ever created in the woods?
Oh.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have brought your art material to create in the woods?
Quite a bit, yes.
Wow. And how is that like versus doing this in the studio? Can you replicate this? Do you need to be very quiet in the studio? What's the kind of like lighting that you need to have your optimum environment to create?
I don't have an optimum environment to create. You have to kind of roll with what you have. And I like to change it up quite a bit. I usually don't like it too quiet where I'm working, you know, so when you're out in nature, you have a lot of things going on, a lot of things inspiring you. I like to make art quite a bit in the classroom with, 50 students packed in. Often, you've been in there with me making art at the same time, so you can have conversations while you're working. And it's nice to have other stimuli, at least maybe some music playing. But yeah, I don't prefer to create art in a vacuum, but I switch it up quite a bit.
Okay, so you like to be stimulated, visually busy, with sounds around, not absolutely quiet. So nature for you just gives this kind of like inspiring stimulation.
Yeah.
I do have
absolutely.
a question. I have to piggyback off of that because you did nature. So when you were creating this, were you looking at a picture? Because many artists have different ways of working. Did you look at a picture, a photograph of a frog, or did you have a real one in a jar? And do the 10 hours of staring at the angles, or did you have a still life? What's your go-to?
Then, if you look, there are different species of frogs here.
That's why I was curious. Does he have a base to go off of?
Yeah.
Clearly, it's imaginative, but I don't want to speak for him. So I had to ask, do you have one that you work with? Do you have a pet frog?
These are all invented.
Oh, wow.
And they're also memories, things that I've seen, certain patterns, but
you never...
almost all of my work is just directly from my head, so from memory and from imagination.
But you may have seen a day, you may have seen many hours of frogs hunting, like out in the nature.
I used to, when I was a kid, I would have frog tanks in vivariums. And
so.
It's embedded in your memory.
Yeah.
You want to go to the next one? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, let's see. He has a few pieces there.
This is part of the same piece. So
the top.
So that's the humanoid, the shoulder, right? The headpiece.
Yeah. Kind of a Poseidon type character, but at the same time with like the forest mushrooms growing on it, and you can't see from this one, but it has like long limbs and webbed hands and webbed feet.
So tell us.
Yeah, this is really powerful.
It is powerful. I'm curious about the minimal marks versus the detailed marks. Was that?
That was left, so that wasn't originally intended. So usually when I know what to do with an area, like when I feel what to do with an area, I do it, but then I'll move on when I don't know what to do with something. So with the eye on the right, left minimal, to me it feels like it's slipping into another realm, whether it be a spiritual realm or another dimension, but it's aware of something beyond what you're looking at. So one eye is looking at you, but the other eye sees something else. See something beyond the veil of what we can see.
That's cool. You're playing with it feels a little surreal in a sense as well.
Yeah. John's art is incredibly esoteric, spiritual, and and now, John, do you read a lot? How do you get these ideas? What feeds your imagination besides visiting nature by yourself?
Yeah, I do read, but honestly, mostly it comes from nature. I'm interested in a lot of lore from different cultures. The Great Lakes region, Native Americans, especially the Ojibwa, and also the Lakota of the Plains. I'm really interested in their creation stories, spirituality, origins. I love hearing about origin stories and different cultures, religions, and mythologies. I'm fascinated by that. So anything I can get my hands on with that, it's incredibly creative and inspiring.
It's like you're in the real world, but your mind's in another imaginative place all the time.
Yeah, right. I try to put it there.
It's interesting because we are, in the Western hemisphere, we are very much used to the Judeo-Christian narrative, which many people hold very dear, close to them. But there are so many origin stories out there from religious texts. In the Americas, right? You just mentioned some Native Americans. Is there an origin story that, for instance, deals mostly with creatures coming from vegetation? Because I see a lot of your work sprouting. Is there one that you are aware of? I'm not aware of anything like that. But is there one that you can share with us, or any origin story that you really find interesting?
Like one you always go back to, maybe. Yeah.
Like I find interesting the Native American I believe this is the Aztecs, right? Of the feathered snake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it seems that yours draws into something so delicate. It's like little, it seems it's springing from the earth. Mm-hmm. Is that all, John, or does that you can subscribe that to an origin somewhere else?
This isn't coming from a specific origin. Honestly, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but there was a woman who spent her career, and I watched her on a TED Talks, and there's like competing theories of evolution, and she had a case for humans becoming what we are through being in the water quite a bit, the way that our hands get wrinkly and we can pick up small objects, the way that being in the water is extremely healthy for us. It's the best exercise we can possibly do. It stretches us out, and it's great for our lungs and our being. Even the way that our hair flows and the fact that we aren't covered in hair. So I think that's where some ideas come from. I like that idea quite a bit. I think it's fun to play with. And just the ocean's unknown, and being new to the coast for the first time, you look out there and it's something like 5% explored, and it's unknown, and there could be so much out there. So, and I'll talk to students too quite a bit. I'll talk to different people that I meet down here wherever I live at the time, and ask them about do you believe in certain things that are out there? Like I'll ask my students kind of like lightheartedly, do you believe in mermaids? And a lot of my students are from the Caribbean, and surprisingly, like usually over half of them raise their hand, and then they'll tell stories. Oh, my grandmother saw this, but it wasn't like this beautiful mermaid. It's this almost transparent, skinned, really long, and they'll have these really specific stories, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So I just love hearing about that. Before that, I lived in West Virginia. I lived out there for a while, and I'd ask students, do you believe in Bigfoot? And almost all of them would raise their hand. Oh, I saw a Bigfoot, or I saw Mothman.
Really?
And they would tell you all about these stories. Yeah.
Do you believe?
I love that.
Do you believe in aliens?
I think that the universe is so massive. I think that there's a good chance that there's pretty intelligent life out there.
Well, I was thinking underwater sky, so I went there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that there's, there could definitely be like intelligence underwater or, in the universe. Absolutely.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah.
Well, there is I like, that's why these conversations are always interesting, right? There is this theory of the intraterrestrials as opposed to the extraterrestrials, right? That the Earth is hollow, and inside, the nucleus of the Earth is kind of like a sun. So there's all this civilization there. So that I read a lot of books about that, and growing up, I was like, oh my God, if I find a cave and I can just get into that world, right? So the theory of the aquatic primates, right, our possible ancestors, that is a very well-known theory. There's a respected scientist who really say we do better giving birth in the water, or right? Like
absolutely.
We do have some little webs between our fingers, and we are very much hairless, right? So the question is going back a little bit to your medium, right? So you like to sculpt, right? You grew up, would you say that you grew up sculpting more than drawing, or was it a mix of both? Are you nowadays more connected with one versus the other?
I definitely grew up with both. Drawing's more accessible. So if you're inside and can't really make a mess somewhere, then you can draw. Or if you're a kid and stuck in a classroom at school and not paying attention, like I never was, I would be drawing like all the time, and sketchbooks or on tests. So I would definitely say I've drawn quite a bit more. With sculpture, though, when you have the setup, growing up, it was my basement. And then by the time I was in college, I had studios where I would sculpt. Yeah, before becoming a professor, I worked as a chainsaw sculptor and would find people that would have a tree. And as long as they would give me the freedom to like do my own thing, I wasn't going to do a bear or just a eagle or anything like that. But I'm like, let me do my thing. And, a lot of people are cool with that.
Very cool.
Since I've been here, there hasn't been much space to do much sculpture. I've done a few pieces since I've been down here, but I have been diving back into it quite a bit lately, very recently.
Nice. All right, can we see more of John's work? Let's see.
So I selected this as an awesome complete contrast to the white. I love this one. So
this is a large-scale charcoal drawing. So you can work back and forth, like a lot of charcoal and eraser. So you add and subtract and add and subtract. This drawing is larger than me. It's a very large-scale drawing. The way that the trees are in the water, it's inspired by kayaking through the mangroves here. Seeing the way that the trees are reaching into the water, and then all the animals just kind of peeking at you, then jumping back in. Lots of different cats, and all the different things that you see. You'll see raccoons, all sorts of things. Supposedly in this area there's monkeys. I haven't seen any yet, but a lot of people tell me that they've seen them. So you just it's kind of the unknown. Adding that element to it.
What's exciting about this is as you continue to stare at it, it evolves and you go deeper and deeper into the mangroves.
Definitely.
This is a masterful piece there. It's really impressive. John, so you don't stretch your drawings, right? Like, let's say using the language of a painter, they're not stretched, or in other words, are they on boards? Do they have a hard back? I know your work is quite collectible. It travels around. You exhibit in various galleries in very distant places. So how do you transport such large pieces?
I rolled them. So these do not have a hard back. This is, I use really thick, strong papers, like cotton-based papers, so BFK or Stonehenge. A handful of others that are really tough papers. You can take sandpaper to them. And so I'll roll them with glassine, a museum interleaving paper, and then I'll either drive them or ship them in really large cement formed tubes. So that's the nice thing about this, because if this had a fixed back, that'd be extremely difficult.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
So you're very. It's a very powerful art practice, because you can create these masterful pieces, and you can basically show it anywhere without damaging it. You roll it, secure it, and you can get it to the place. Now, how do you usually display, let's say, at a gallery space? Are you mindful of the edges, or is part of your presentation showing that this is a drawing, this is on paper, this kind of rawness of that medium? Is that how you do it?
Absolutely. I like showing the rawness. I try to have my paper cut so it's just slightly off a perfect rectangle.
Oh, really?
I like that. Yeah, I like that just to be tattered, just to show the quality of the paper and to show that it is a drawing. And with drawing, I like the immediacy of it. Just show that this could be damaged if somebody wants to come up to this and just like scrub their hands all over it. It might be massive, but it's at the same time delicate. So quite a bit. When I put these up in galleries, I'll talk to the gallery director or curator, and we'll come up with different ways to hang them. Usually with some kind of like clip system that you don't really notice. But a lot of my buyers, people that have bought my art in the past, they end up framing these. And yeah, so I've seen a lot of different ways that people frame these, put glass around them, really beautiful ways of doing that. Sometimes simple white frames, sometimes natural wood frames. And,
do they involve
but when I present them raw.
That's exciting. Do they involve you in the framing process? Kind of asking.
Sometimes they ask me a lot of questions about it, and I'll help them out with it every step of the way. Other times they know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
And all of your drawings are usually bigger than you?
Quite a few of them, yeah.
Wow.
Some of my small ink pieces are more intimate. Some are extremely tiny, like a couple inches by a couple inches. But usually there's not much in between. They're usually very large, like monumental, life size or bigger, or they're extremely small and precious.
Awesome.
Very cool.
I love the extreme of that. The small, the large.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
It does seem to me that you are so influenced by nature in your choice of medium, the rawness, the textures. And again, nature is also massive, like a mountain or a massive waterfall, and also microscopic and delicate. And you seem to go both ways like that, like just like nature. Very few things are in between in nature, right? And do you feel that it's necessary for the viewer to get really close to your pieces? Are you careful when you're exhibiting them?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So people don't get too close, because this is charcoal.
Yeah.
So how do you show it?
I like people to get close to them. Some of the pieces that are smaller, that are more delicate, I'll put those behind glass. I'll put those in a strong frame. But these large charcoals, some art, when you see it, it looks good from far away, and that's the idea. Other work looks really good close up. One thing I think about when I make my work is when somebody enters a gallery, I want them to see this piece from far away and to be drawn in. And once they're up close, I want them to be rewarded. Usually most of the galleries that I exhibit with, they're usually pretty on it. The people working for the gallery will kind of pay attention to see if somebody's about to touch it.
Yeah.
And they're good with that. And when I'm working on them, if my nephews are visiting or something like that, like they might run up to it and smudge it. But I just think of it as a happy accident, and then I just kind of work with it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
Thanks.
So this is the segment. This is the fun part. The structure of feeling. Do you wanna explain?
Sure. So, we are JADA, right? And as JADA, as a metamodern art movement and art organization, we try to always be mindful of how we relate to the world within and the world out there, right? With our emotions and feelings, how we connect with each other, with ourselves. So the topic for this week, for JADA, is the structure of feeling, which is one of our goals to focus as a movement, the structure of feeling. How do we define the structure of feeling? So there are many, many ways to define it, but one of the ways is that it's the distilled residue of the personal lived experience over and above the ideological expectations of society. Basically, the way you feel, being real with a new kind of sincerity about yourself, and not being so mindful about what others think, expectations of society. So, how much do you prioritize personal, emotional honesty in your life and art? Basically, how much do you try to keep it real in your art and in your life? What are your thoughts also on toxic positivity? For those out there who believe that you've got to always be happy. So tell us a little bit about how you deal with the emotional. That's basically where we're going right now.
So emotions are extremely complex, right? We all know that. And the way that plays into the way that I work, it can help me sort through emotions, recognize my emotions in ways that I might not be able to verbally define. And with the way I work, having an idea but letting it evolve and build upon itself into something completely different. With a lot of the work, in the end, it speaks back to me in the sense that, I'm learning something from this. And a lot of it has to often do with the emotion, like emotions or different relationships that you can kind of feel and you kind of see in the art, and then you learn from it. And in terms of toxic positivity, I think positivity is something that we really need. There's a lot of negativity in the world right now. There has been forever, but right now especially, you turn on the news or you listen to the anger, you just go driving around here, people are just angry and mad and down. But I think that at least for me, it's extremely important to stay positive. When I critique, you can still be very constructive with your criticism, but still keep it positive. And positivity allows you to behave better. There's people, I believe at Harvard, doing studies on the effects of doing work when you're positive versus doing work when you're negative or stressed out, and you'll perform like roughly 33% better.
Really?
Yeah, it's significant. They're trying studies in Japan about that too, because people have been so stressed out there for a while that they're kind of laying off, making life easier, trying to make life easier for people that are working there, and it's been working. It's been up in productivity. But I definitely agree with Bob Marley in that sense. If you're quarreling every day, then you're essentially saying prayers to the devil. You're feeding the darkness if you're always being negative. But if you're putting positivity out there, positivity begets positivity. You tell somebody that, like, the good things about them, they'll want to achieve those good things. And if you tell somebody the bad things about them, they'll think they're a bad person. So I'm a believer in positivity, and I'm not in agreement that toxic should be aligned with it.
I see. Yeah.
What do you guys think?
How about when you have, let's say, we live in a world full of social media posts glorifying
fake happy,
all kinds of like sometimes people go out of their way to portray a kind of positivity that's not really there. In other words, you are a deeply spiritual person. You get in touch with nature. You have your family. You have your art. You are producing positivity in a sustainable, in a beautiful and real way. How about people who simply, for instance, they, instead of working out, they'll take pills, let's say, to lose weight. There's also this kind of pills for happiness. It's a fake kind of happiness. They're not really happy because they're not having the connection that they need as humans. And to portray this kind of fake positivity becomes toxic. You see what I mean? And sometimes getting inside of ourselves and thinking of our experiences becomes important. What do you think of that as well? The flip side of that.
The way that people portray things on social media.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are just looking for energy. I think that there's studies being done on the amount of dopamine released when people like something, right? And they're just trying to find energy, and people try to find energies in different ways. Some people are intimidators. Some people will show off to get energy from other people. But I think that when you're trying to get energy from other people, that can be, as you say, toxic, because we need other people, absolutely, but I do not believe that people are sources of energy. I think that we're vessels of energy, but not sources. We don't create it. You see that, like, when some people, like, have relationships, for example, they'll start cutting out, they'll be real excited and getting this energy from each other.
Yeah.
And then they'll cut out the things that they love doing, whether it be hiking or going to movies.
That's right.
Or, the other things that are places that they get energy. Yeah. And then they start like devouring each other as they run out, and they don't understand why the other person isn't giving them energy. And you see it happen. So same thing with social media and these different aspects where people put up like false positives. Their intent, maybe they really want to be positive.
Yeah.
Maybe they really want to be happy, and I hope that they find that. But looking for it through social media, I don't think they're going to find it there.
That's right.
That's powerful.
Right. Wow, powerful words, huh? Very good. Oh, what is this?
So this piece.
This guy's a keeper of the mushrooms. So it's this little creature I came up with. He's like a gardener living out in the forest with a bunch of mushrooms and just taking care of them.
That's awesome.
That is great.
This one's actually really small.
Is it?
What's that? Yeah.
What's the size?
I think it's roughly 12 inches by maybe 4 inches, something like that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, tiny.
Yeah, and it's still with charcoal, so that was actually kind of difficult to work that
so
tiny
detailed.
in the hand and the eyes with charcoal. Yeah,
I mean,
I just kept sharpening the charcoal.
The hand is so precise.
Yeah, this one I like this one a lot. And his ears are actually a mushroom that a type of mushroom that I've seen too. So he's kind of connected with them.
Yeah,
and just peaceful little creature. Something that. Could be out there that, if we walk around, we're not going to see because it's a shy little creature. So.
And then this one, if I can go, kind of plays with, I like this one. What are those, there's text in this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
the voices in our heads. Silence
the voices in our island, is that what it is? Heads?
Yeah, the voices in our heads. Silence us, speak out of turn without truth. I'm trying to make it bigger. And basically what this is about
does that say manifesto versus reality? Or am I crazy?
What's up?
Does that say manifesto versus reality at the bottom? That's exciting.
Manifesto reality. I should remember what it says.
I got the manifesto on my mind.
Oh, the collective imagination of society manifests a reality. So it's kind of about brainwashing, and you're seeing this going on a lot here. People following people that are liars, people following lies, and to them it's reality. They think it's a truth, and to them it is a truth. And so I was playing off of that. I drew a child, but I gave him large ears so that he can hear. And then you have all the frogs and these kind of natural beings, whether they be fairies and mushrooms, kind of crawling around his mind as if he's aware of all the people that are just living in lies and living in this false reality adjacent from reality.
It's very deep, very layered.
Yeah, this is a very strong piece.
And I think that's interesting that you removed the mouth, like the silence. That was a cool play with the composition.
Thanks. Yeah. Would you consider this a finished piece?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Excellent.
And as you were building this composition, were you planning, I'm going to take them, or did it evolve as you were creating? Did you pre-plan all the elements that we discussed, or did it evolve?
It evolves. So I began with the eyes. I usually begin with the eye. So I began with the eye of the child, and then I worked outward from there. And I didn't really know where I wanted to go with the piece then. And when I don't know where I want to go, I begin with eyes, and then you can tell a lot by eyes. So as these eyes emerged, these were thoughts that I realized were going through my mind, thinking about truth and reality, and just how people blindly follow, and so I just kind of played off of it with that and just let it turn into this, and it's absolutely finished. The lips were drawn at one point, the face was drawn at one point, and I chose to erase them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and the handwriting is really, it completes this so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hard to
thanks.
have words in successfully in a piece.
Yeah, I don't always use words, but sometimes it's important, like sometimes when I actually realize what it says, I thought it was important to write that.
And what I find very interesting about your work, John, is that you pay such an attention to detail, so much attention to every single aspect of the environment, the world that you're creating. But then you choose to leave things unfinished as well in many of your pieces. That takes a level of maturity, artistic maturity, that very old master artists usually talk about right before the last few years of their lives. They realize that it's not necessary to do anything else once the message is complete. And the message is going to be complete before you finish the drawing. And then you just step away. That takes maturity, which I think one day I'm going to get there. I'm not there yet. You seem to already be there. How did you get to that? Were you always that kind of artist who had that wisdom, or that's something that came later?
I've been doing that. Like, it just depends on the piece for quite a while. It just comes down to when the work speaks back to you. If you're paying attention to your work, if you're stepping away from it and coming back to it and really trying to come up with something that's like legit and from an honest place, and not force myself too much on the piece. And then you can kind of know when it's finished. For fun, I'd love to go in and finish pieces like this. I had a really cool professor when I took one of my first art classes, and he got me working very fast and very loose at that time, which was important for me. And one of his tips of advice was you need to know when to walk away from the piece. And he's like, that's extremely important. He's like, you need to know when to just drop the pencil and stop.
Wow.
And you feel like it's an innate feeling.
Yeah, and most of the time, like, I appreciate the compliments, but I don't think I have that wisdom. Like, sometimes it just hits me. It's like, I just know. Other times, I feel like I definitely like go in and just like completely over render something, which I love to do too because it's fun. But I get what you're saying.
I feel like sometimes the artwork is never finished; it's only closed at certain parts. Like, you can always reopen it if you choose to, but there's moments I feel like when it's closed at that moment. So I think that's cool to have a conversation. Is the artwork ever finished?
Yeah, I brought that up with my students today.
Oh, really?
I brought up like Duchamp's ideas, saw what they thought, and they had some good arguments with each other.
That's awesome.
So that's the first time they were exposed to those questions. But I think with these, in terms of it being finished, I like to simulate the imagination, and one of the reasons why I love really good very abstract work, even though I don't make abstract work, is because it allows me to use my imagination. It allows me to see things in it. So if I take a piece and make it like completely rendered, sometimes I feel like I take that away. But when I let things fade into darkness, then it allows the viewer to wonder and continue it and get lost in their imagination and go have dreams about it or think about it. It's not finished, it's still lingering.
Wow.
Yeah.
I once had a very uncomfortable conversation with a group of art critics. I was much younger, and trying to get my work out. And as an oil painter who painted realism at the time, mostly, they said, Jonathan, let me tell you what my reason for not liking your work is. I'm like, oh man, what is this? Wow. This is horrible. Yeah. And they ganged up on me and they said, the reason why the art world loves abstract is because abstract art allows us to imagine. Yeah. It doesn't give us a packaged, a finished kind of a narrative. And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. So I thank them so much for that the negative critique they gave to my work, because that changed my work from then on. I said, how can I still do the work that I love without finishing the narrative completely, packaging it too much? And that's why I think you're very wise, John, because you're already there.
Yeah,
you've been there.
Yeah, it's a great reminder that the work is mostly about the engagement with the viewer.
Yeah.
That's what makes art.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. We have a few minutes left, but we do have a really important question to ask you, John. So I want to spend a few minutes, a minute on this piece, but then we do want to ask a question. This is a small one, right?
Yeah, this is a little ink piece.
It's so adorable. What is that?
It's just a bird I created.
No, I know. It's like half bird, half...
Yeah, I've just been doing a series of birds, and with this one you can't even see where I erased out the branch.
No, I do see the rough erase marks, which makes it really exciting. That's a fun illusion.
Yeah, so these we're creating these different like bird characters, but the world that they're populating is unknown. So then that's where it can dive into the imagination. Is where is this supposed to be?
Yeah, I love it. That's so, and that's pen?
Yeah.
Yeah. That took a while. That's so great.
Yeah, thanks.
So we do, we know you're a professor. Well, I learned that tonight. Well, I knew that, but the audience now knows that you're a professor. So we have a JADA manifesto. And one of the main things that we like to promote on the manifesto, as you read all the many things, but one of the things is to promote the sustainability of art careers. So we would like to know, what is the #1 advice you give your art students as an art professor?
That's to trust themselves and with the questions I get, is it okay to do this? Is it okay to do that? Is this better than this? I tell students that the most important person to like their work is themselves. Like you got to love what you're doing, especially in this field. And regardless of if anybody surrounds you appreciates what you're doing, whether your family appreciates it or your classmates appreciate it or your current art scene appreciates it, there's coming up on 8 billion people in the world. So if you love what you're doing, there's people out there that it will influence. So just trust yourself, and don't be overly influenced by what the people surrounding you think about your work. And I think that's an important lesson, and it's a lesson in confidence, because art is 75% confidence.
You need confidence in this business as a professional artist. Definitely, I would agree with that.
What a piece of advice.
That is. Thank you.
I've seen John at the end of his course give an advice, basically saying, I taught you, I spent the whole semester with you, teaching you all kinds of things, but now you are obliged to break all the rules that I taught you. I'm like, what? You blew my mind. What is this? I like that, John.
Thank you, John.
Very, very wise.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So we have 2 minutes left, and we have a big announcement. So John says, I'll let you take your 2 minutes to let us know what this is. We're announcing today the JADA 2020 Miami Art Week Declaration. What is this?
Well, it's as you know, JADA is an art movement, right? We're part of a larger art movement, which is metamodernism. And without trying to explain things too much, the truth is we're here to claim meaningful places in the artistic cosmos of the 2020s. It's time that new voices are heard. It's time that new organizations are given the opportunity to engage with viewers, engage with academia, engage with the market, engage with creating new narratives that must be heard. We have specific challenges going on, and often we feel that our generation is just not given the opportunity. So that is the meaning of JADA, really. That's what we're here to do. And it's already international. We are in different countries. We have JADA artists in different countries, and we also have our events in different countries. The JADA 2020 Miami Art Week declaration comes out of necessity. Because this week, to be more specifically today, the 2nd of September of 2020, a major presence in Miami Art Week has stepped out, has canceled its show or its presence. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to not be overly specific. It's actually happening to several art fairs, museums that are closing, without any regards for the artists who need this. And they simply imagine that perhaps it won't be as profitable to be there this year because of the restrictions. It's just too much headache. So JADA has declared itself as a defender of Miami Art Week. And we are here to have the commitment to be there. Not only that, but we're also declaring a new art district in the Normandy Isle area of North Beach. So now let it be known that the Normandy Isle Art District exists, and JADA has declared it into manifestation.
We have planted the flag, and we will be showing this Miami Art Week December 3rd through the 6th, and we are so excited. And later this month, we'll be doing an art call, and we plan to proceed both a hybrid of online and in-person, keeping with the regulations and the guidelines, of course. But this is a great evolving time to stay present and stay in the community, both locally, and we plan to move forward and prevail.
Moving forward. Exactly. And that is happening at a global level. What is happening is next month, October, from the 19th through the 30th, we're having JADA Paris Art Week, right? We have the JADA Paris Art Fair during Paris Art Week, and John Selburg is one of our invited artists. We're going to have the pleasure, the honor of showing his artwork there to the Parisian audience. We look forward to having his work there. And this is happening. It's happening everywhere, and it's the time for artists of our generation to be bold, to be idealistic and pragmatic at the same time, because the time is now.
So to find out more about Paris Art Week next month, and to learn more about the art call for Miami Art Week, please go to JadaArt.org, and we look forward to seeing you and talking to you more about it. Thank you again, John, so much. And online, where can the viewers find you?
I have J Selburg on Instagram and www.johnselburg.com.
Awesome. I'll put that in the details below. And thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Episode 2 of JadaTV. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
All right. My best.